guys, how's it going? Today we're gonna deck out all 4 of these great big containers that we have at each corner of the greenhouse for winter. We're gonna go cut some branches out in the garden. I've gathered up a bunch of really fun supplies, both from my parents' garden center and a wholesale florist. In fact, when we went on our last antiquing day, we went to the wholesale florist and I told you I would show you everything I ordered, so we will do that today. I'm really excited about it though. We recently planted a bunch of tulips in here and I thought that these might be a little too frozen, but I don't think we might have to on that corner. That corner on the back side stays a little bit more shaded, so it may be a little bit more frozen. Russell wants to be part of everything. But I think we're gonna be able to stick branches down in here fairly easily. We may have to get a little bit of warm water out just to soften it up, but not much. I'm really happy about that. Now, one thing about this structure and Christmas lights. So we got all of the Christmas lights on, Aaron and I did. We did icicles this year because that's what we wanted to do on all of the house and all the rest of the outbuildings. And last year we did single strand lights and we weren't super happy with how it turned. I mean, it was great, it was bright and all of that last year, but we thought the icicles might be a better alternative. And I just don't know that this structure is meant for Christmas lights. In fact, Aaron by himself went and turned them off last night and just said, I think this might be better. We just turn it off and let the pots and the Christmas tree that I'm going to put inside be the star, which I'm so excited about. I was having a little bit of a hard time thinking about doing a tree in here because the lights are so bright on the outside. I don't even think you'd be able to see that there was a tree in there. So I think it's going to be good. We may leave the lights on for the Christmas light tour since we went to the work of putting them up, but I think they are eventually going to be taken down and we'll let that Christmas tree inside shine, which we're going to do next week. So we're going to do a fresh cut tree in there, the real deal. I'm so excited because this isn't as hot as the inside of our house, so I think it will last a lot longer. But anyway, I've got everything gathered up in the gator, all of my supplies for the most part, so let's run over to the barn and we'll go over all that. I've got a bunch of beautiful stuff here. So I pulled a bundle of each thing out of the boxes so that I had a representation of all the supplies I have to work with, but you can see right in the back we've got a big bundle of red twig dogwood. I'm actually not going to use that in these containers because that's not quite enough to stretch for 4 containers, so we're going to go cut some flame willow out in the garden, but I will use that in a couple other containers we're going to be doing. We've got some seeded eucalyptus. Look at this. The most seeded eucalyptus I have ever had, I think. Like, it is so full of this beautiful texture. I love the blue, I love the shape of the leaves, and they hold really well through our winters. So I'm really excited about this. We've got some bundles of myrtle right here. Not something that we have growing here really that I can think of. But I thought it would be fun to try this in place of like a boxwood or something like that. We've got some magnolia right here. So I've got 1 box of that, and I think I'm going to be using the entire box. That's this one right here, through these whole 4 containers. I really want these containers to look layered this year instead of like a jumble of stuff. I want them to look very structured. We'll see how that goes. This is a new one to me. This is feather acacia. Isn't that just the most interesting looking foliage? It's not something that grows here. I love the purplish red new growth right there. They said it holds well in our temperatures. We shall see. I'm wondering if I should use this in a less visible container just in case it doesn't do super well. I don't know. It's going to be an experiment, but I think it adds some beautiful blue and some different texture. We've got some noble fir boughs right here, and I prefer to get the boughs. This is the one I get through my parents' garden center. Everything else came from the wholesale florist. I prefer boughs over tips. You can order them those 2 different ways, and if you order tips, they give you like the little pieces, which is great for wreath making. But if you're wanting to do large containers, getting the boughs is so awesome because it's so much bulk, and it's only 1 stem going in instead of multiple stems going in to get the same effect. I've got some lily grass. I'm gonna have to get into this. I think this is 20 bundles worth. I don't know. This was one of those things that I thought it'd be fun to do a grassy layer. I don't know. This has got kind of a Carex look to it. Let's see if one of them will pull out. The bundles are so small. I thought 20 bundles was gonna be like, this big amount. So we'll see. But it's really neat looking, and I think it adds a really pretty texture. Okay, the last thing is up front. We've got some variegated pittosporum. I think this adds some really pretty fluff Really good bold leaf texture. I like the little creamy white variegation that gives it kind of a bright pop. And then we've got 4 strands of Christmas lights. I'm thinking since we might take the Christmas lights off of the Hartley, maybe we should kind of puddle this at the bottom of the container and not really have it like going up the branches, but have it be more of a glow coming from like within the arrangement. Again, we'll see how that goes. First thing we need to do though, I'm gonna go take all of this stuff over to where we're gonna be working, and then we need to run out into the garden and cut some flame willow. So these are 4 flame willow plants, shrubs that we had delivered this spring, and we never got around to planting them here. We did plant 3 of them here, and then we were going to take them over to a friend's house. It got a little bit too late, so I'm gonna give them a good rejuvenation prune today. We're gonna cut most of the branches off. We'll use them in today's display, and these have better color on fresh branches anyway, so it's a good idea like every other year to go in and cut them all the way back. So that's what we're gonna do. It's gonna look pretty severe, but these have such amazing color. They look like a red twig dogwood, but with a little bit more brightness right here. Just love that. All right, so I've got my Falcos. I'm just gonna get after it. So this looks pretty severe, right? But this is how you do it. Rejuvenation prune, you cut them back pretty far, and they tell you that with dogwoods too, like our Arctic fires that we have planted, but they're just babies, so I'm not gonna cut off those this year. If you want to have the best color, you can do one of 2 things. You can prune them every year, where you go in and prune out all the old kind of brown stems, like, let me show you. Something that looks more like this. That obviously does not have nice, bright, fresh color. So you cut all of that out every year, or every other year you can go in and just kind of mow them down, and then they'll flush back fresh. The only advantage to doing the brown wood every year is that if you're using them as a hedging plant, then you maintain your size still. When you mow them down every other year, for a little while that year that you mow them down, you won't have that size, but they're such fast growers, both dogwoods and willows, that I kind of like doing it that way because it's easy. You know, there's really no question on how to prune when you just go in and just hack them back. It's kind of freeing too. This willow, left unchecked, left unpruned, would grow like 15 to 20 feet tall and wide. So big. So I kind of prefer this. This kind of keeps their growth in check a bit. Look at this though. Look at this. Look how beautiful that is. That's probably, I want to say maybe 2 containers worth. We might only have to hack back a couple of these today. We can hack back the rest later when we do more pots. So I cut back 2 of these flame willows, and I think we're gonna have more than enough for 4 containers. In fact, I mean, look at all of these. We'll probably have enough to do another 2 to 4 containers, but we'll see. We can fit a lot in. Think we got enough branches? You guys, I love how these turned out. Just love it. I cannot wait to see what the lights look like once we plug them in, once it's dark. I might have to fuss with them a little bit. These cats, hey. Russell. Break it up, boys. Break it up. Come on, break it up. Oh, hey. Naughty, naughty kitty. My goodness, they wanted to be involved big time today. Okay, so the soil was a little bit more frozen than I thought. It took about 2 buckets of warm water per container. And even then, I still had a little bit of a hard time getting the branches in, especially the bunches of myrtle, because I didn't break any of the bunches up. I just left them rubber banded together, and used 5 bundles per pot. Filling up big pots like this really full, unless you're foraging, I mean, it can, I'm not gonna lie, it can add up. So it was really nice that we were able to go out and get some branches in our own garden. So the flame willow looks so good. And we were talking about maybe popping these out in the pasture area, and just growing these on to harvest every other year, so that we can go out and, yeah, just gather our own branches for free. And the color is amazing, especially with the magnolia at the backside of the leaves down below. I think that's such a pretty pair. So flame willow branches in the center. I tried to keep them kind of together, but some of them were quite wide. So anyway, I tried to keep them in a bunch, and then did 5 bundles of the myrtle around, and then popped a layer of magnolia in. The branches could have stood to be a little bit longer. That would have been a little bit easier. They're in there, and once they freeze tonight, everything will be frozen in place. Everything is touching the soil, but it would be nice if they were like this much longer. And then I did my layer of spruce down below, and I just wanted that to be a soft layer right above the pot. I love that you can see the container themselves because they are beautiful. So the layer of spruce went in, and then I put the lights on before I put the seeded eucalyptus in. So I might have to pull the lights out a little bit once we plug them in. If they're tucked in a little too far, I can pull them out. But I just kind of did a ring around the perimeter of the pot with the lights, and ended up with a little kind of gob of them in the end that I tucked in right at the base of these branches. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I might add 1 extra strand if we need a little more light, a little more glow. I could just put the whole strand right down in the center and plug it into the end, and then we'll have this nice, beautiful uplighting on these branches. It's gonna be awesome. So anyway, I just kind of did them identical-ish. You know, they look very similar. They all have their good sides, as most of my arrangements do. But I just love the scale. I knew that I needed to do something tall and something really weighty for this structure. And I think that they turned out the way I wanted them to, which is so much fun. And I don't intend on doing a ton of winter arrangements. I think that this is my first set of winter arrangements. So it was fun to be able to concentrate a lot of my order, a lot of the stuff I ordered in these containers. I'm gonna do a few around our house, you know, around the doorways that we enter in the most. But overall, I'm gonna leave most of our containers alone out in the landscape. So I'll try to include some pictures of what these look like once it gets dark and we turn the lights on. It's just such a fun project. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye. All right, guys, it is dark outside. However, it's so bright from all the Christmas lights. You can probably see them through the glass and reflecting off the glass at the moment. But the pots look so good. I love the glow in the center. I did pull the lights up a little bit. They were tucked down in. I pulled them up just to bring that light up. And there's just a nice little peak of light throughout the perimeter. Just perfect. And here's one on the opposite corner. They pretty much all look the same. Nice glow in the center and little sparkles along the perimeter. Love them.